Yo, what's up, Jan? I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
So, by the way, the mic, the mute button is undefeated where it comes to me in podcasting. The mute button is definitely a, a formidable foe.
I'm sure that was a great intro.
Well, I guess let's just get straight into it. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. We're talking about EFC 121, the first EFC card of this year. And to all the watchers, help me break it down tonight is Achi the Kraken and Jaden from Jakima Podcast. Guys, welcome to the show. Let me start with you, Achi. How you doing? How are you feeling about this upcoming card?
Ooh, nerves, man. Because like I was shocked in regards to why Ayanda and the Power didn't get the rematch. So I don't know what was up with that, but I think it's like to make it stylistically appealing because I think if Ken wins, it's a more like fun fight other than like Rudy Roots just hugging him all the time.
Just hugging him all the time. Let's hope we don't have another thug fest, hug fest. Jaden, how are
Yeah.
you doing tonight, and how are you feeling about this upcoming card?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. And for me, what stands out about this card is the fact that it is yet again top contenders in the same division as we've seen several times over. And for me to see the guys going head to head and finally seeing Ken Sekeletu get his contender shots, I mean, from prospect to contender, I feel like that is a great story to come.
I agree 100%. I think from prospect to contender, like you said, and although we are talking about EFC 121 tonight, I think I want us to just throw back very quickly to 2024, which was a very, very interesting year in the EFC. And all the prospects that you mentioned, for example, Ken Sekeletu came through the EFC in 2024, doing amazing work to now be fighting for the title. Now, with that said, I think we have a little quiz for our viewers in terms of how we felt about the EFC in 2024. So we're going to go through this little list here of the different aspects of EFC in the 2024 year and who we think was the best, what we think was the best part. So first question is, who was your best male fighter of the year? Jaden, I'll go with you first.
To be honest with you, Yao, I have to give it to Sibusiso Soventle. He really came out and shocked the crowd a lot, especially against guys like Nintendo and, the top guys. So I really feel like he took it for me.
That's a nice one. Aki, how about you?
Man, Zondi all the way, man. Like that boy was really, really active last year. It's sad to see that he lost like his last fight. But like he was very active and he was very dominant. So he's my male fighter of the year.
Now, those are great choices. I'm going with someone a little bit more obvious, I guess, in Martin the Punisher van Staden. Why? Because at the age of 40, he fought twice last year and captured the title against the GOAT, Iga Cabeza. So for me, definitely Martin the Punisher van Staden. Now, best female fighter of the year. Achi, let's come to you. Who do you have as the best female fighter for the year?
Who's that girl again? Like who was she lost? I think she lost her title fight. The white chick. I think her name is Van
Dana
Veek or
van
something.
Veek. Dana van
Yes. Yeah, like she got tested on her last fight, and I think it grew her. And I'm looking forward to seeing what she's gonna bring into 2025. So I'm like her number one fan. So yeah, she's always been my number one. Yeah.
Jaden, how about you?
Well, to be honest, I feel like the female fighters last year were almost none. So I'll have to give it to Juliet. I mean, she is top in Africa. So yeah.
Juliet Chuku. I think those are great choices for me. It's very close to Juliet Chuku. It is Felista Mugo, who trains with Juliet, because the work that she put in last year when she got the title shot, which unfortunately the fight didn't happen, the opponent got injured, but the work that she put in towards that title shot for me just showed the determination she has to be a champion. So for me, it's Felista Mugo. Now, knockout of the year. There were so many insane knockouts. There was Pikachu. There were, like, I mean, I can just name them. There were all kinds, head kicks. But for you guys, what was the best knockout of the year? Achi, let's start with you.
Um, who knocked out? Who knocked out Dembele again? Bambi.
Bambi.
Yeah, the guy who knocked him out. Who was he again? I don't remember his name.
Shadrach
The guy
Nasur.
from
No, the guy who knocked out Shadrach. The guy who knocked out
the
Shadrach.
guy from
Oh,
Cameroon.
that guy from Cameroon.
Yes,
Yeah, I cannot
that
remember
was
his name either.
yeah, that was the knockout. That was the knockout for the year for me.
Yeah, that was a vicious knockout that a lot of us didn't see
It was an
coming
emotion.
in that.
It was an emotion.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. Jaden, how about you?
I think it was against Glody Konzeko, but Patrick Ocheme with that head kick, that
Kick
was
him in the head.
impressive for me. I mean, that was an entire night of knockouts, but I think that one was the most solid one.
That was an absolute solid one. Thank you so much for picking a head kick as your favorite. I think I definitely need to have you on the show more often. And Aki, to answer that question, it was Isaac Mulu. It was Isaac Mulu that
Yes.
knocked out Blamby with that insane KO. But
Oh,
yeah, I think for me, my knockout of the year is Zakir Badat versus Jailson Souza. That was an absolutely vicious knockout that left Jailson on the floor for about, I don't know, 5 minutes. Doctors had to attend to him. It was an absolutely vicious knockout. So, incorrectly, I chose a punch. I should have chosen what Jaden chose, but I'm going with Zakir Badat on the knockout of the year. Submission of the year. Jaden, let's go with you. There are lots of submissions. You have a lot of good jiu-jitsu specialists, ground specialists at Simachivani in the EFC. Which submission for you really caught your eye?
Oh gosh, I cannot even remember a single one of them right now. But I do know for sure that Edson really does pull off some really clean submissions. So yeah, I'm gonna go with whatever Edson did was perfect.
How about you, Achi? Who showed you a submission that made you stand up and say, "Oh wow, that's very nice. That's
Zondi.
interesting. That's cool."
Zondi. The rear naked choke, bro. Like the rear naked choke. The pressure. First round. And like the energy was so electric. Because I remember it was, yeah. Like, because like, Zondi always shows up in these high level fights. So he was like because the pressure's always on him. You have to remember that. That's what makes it high stakes. Because like everybody's expecting him to perform. And when he he choked out Godfrey. That was the one for me.
That was a good fight. I think for me, it's Iga Cabeza versus Humphrey Mulenga. We all thought Humphrey was going to be able to do it. He was coming with this
Oh,
aggression, and
yes.
Iga just flipped him and flipped him and flipped him, got his arm behind his back and choked him out. For me, that blew my mind. So for me, it was Iga Cabeza versus Humphrey King Cobra Mulenga. Now, of the champs that we have in the EFC, of the champs that we had in 2024, which was your best champ? Jaden, let's start with you.
I'm gonna give it to Zakir. I feel like he's worked really hard for this, and he's just one of those hardcore guys. I feel like that's the champ of the year in my opinion.
100%. Aki, how about you?
Badat, because
Hmm.
he defeated the guy with the WBS privilege. He defeated Luke Michael, like after ducking Shadrach, coming down, trying to be champ, and you know, like that made my year for me. Yeah, but like also Iga Cabeza, man. Iga Cabeza was just such a talent.
100%. So the thing is, everyone always comes onto my show and calls Luke out, and I'm always like, "But
The
guys,
duck,
not Luke."
Luke the duck.
With that said, it seems like it's a clean sweep for Badat Sakir at this point, because for me, same thing. He is my champ of the year. Uh, Knockout of the year, he started Jelson Sosa, and then he beat a fighter that for me, I respect. I'm like, look, I love Luke, but he managed to beat Luke. So, it is what it is for me. That's what made him my champ of the year. So, yeah, it's a clean sweep for Zakir Badat. Very, very nice. Of all the cards the EFC hosted last year, and like you said, Jane, there's one where it was basically knockout after submission, just finish off the finish. Which card for you stood out the most last year?
I personally feel like the December card for me was the most
Yeah.
interesting. I mean, we had submissions, we had knockouts, and we had upsets. So I feel like personally that one stood out for me the most, even though there were stacked cards and they were entertaining cards. I liked the dynamics and the diversity of the different styles and the different kinds of fighters that they put on the card. It wasn't always stand up against stand up, it wasn't submission artist versus knockout artist. It was all different fights, each and every fight on that card.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was it. Look, 120 definitely had it at the next level. Aki, how about you?
Same thing, man. Like I left, I was drunk and emotional at the same time because like Iga Cabeza, like I was literally crying. I remember asking the medics, I'm like, what is wrong with Iga? What is wrong? You know, like that one was like the one, and the mere fact that Zondi lost, bro. Like what? It was his third fight, no, fourth fight, right? Fourth fight of the year, and it was just such an upset. And I was like, just wow. Like the mere fact that he had so much hype and somebody just took it like that. And yeah, that was the best card for me.
That was a good card, but I'm going to mention one card that for me trumped it, and that's EFC 119. I'm just going to mention some of the names that fought on that card. We had Edson Machavani that's the Machavani versus Balelo card, by the way.
Yeah.
That's where Julia Chuku won her title as well against Dana Van Beek. We had Shadrach fighting on the card. That's when Ndidi Alonu knocked out Zico Makangele, the gorilla, which we did not expect. No one saw that coming. That's when Patrick Ocheme got grabbed by Kaleka Kabanda after the fight was over and the ref had to pull him off. We had Adrian Sanchez. I mean, that card was just... And then we had when British Bowler Young knocked out Christian Omakombio. I mean, that card was just mad for me. That card just like... all the way through. Now, the upset of the year. We had lots of fights. You've mentioned quite a few. I know one of yours actually might be the Shadrach one, which is also KO of the year for you. But which fight for you was the upset of the year?
It was Barat versus Luke and Martin van Staden versus Iga Cabeza, man. Like I went into that fight like with like a maybe I think it was like a 8-leg parlay. An 8-leg parlay, bro. And like Martin van Staden just won it. And I was like, I was in so much pain.
Was
Uh,
that the fight that killed your parlay?
yes, yes.
Oh.
And the Zondi fight. I was like, I'm a big fan of Zondi, but I was like, Zondi, you were supposed to do what you always do.
And how about you, Jaden? Which fighter for you came through and upset and just blew your mind?
To be honest, the fight between Edson Machavana and Terence Balelo, I don't know, it was too close to call, and I know some people were saying Edson and some people were saying Terence, but to watch Terence come from being this champ and making a difference in his hometown to all of a sudden now he has to climb the ranks again. I mean, it broke my heart a little bit, but I'm also happy for Edson at the same time. So I suppose it wasn't as much of an upset to me as what it was when I saw Iga Cabeza getting knocked out. Because I also sat there, I'm like, no, what's happening to Iga? Because I was genuinely so concerned because that is not the Iga Cabeza we know. So, yeah, it's between those two for me.
Well, once again, clean sweep. I think the Iga Cabeza versus Martin van Staden fight shocked us all. I think it definitely shocked the South African MMA world. we didn't expect the legend at the age of 40 to come back, fight twice in a year, and then capture the title against the GOAT. I mean, it was just absolutely insane. So I think, like you both rightly said, that one, no matter which fights you look at in the year, that was definitely the upset. But there were a few other ones like the Shadrach and Sua versus Isaac Mulu, which none of us saw coming as well. So yeah, lots of upsets last year. Let's see what happens this coming year, because it's about to be another amazing year in the EFC. Now, getting to the card that we're here to talk about, EFC 121, Roets versus Sekeletu, Relentless versus the Takeover. Let's get into it. I think let's chat first about the fighters before we talk about how we think the fight's going to go. Let's chat about Roedie Roets. Roedie, who's come off the Ultimate Fighter. We saw him fighting Ayanda Zwane at the end of last year. We saw how that fight went. We heard his reasons for his performance because he also wasn't too happy with his performance. Coming out of Polokwane, training with Iggy Kabesa, how are you feeling about Roedie Roets coming into this fight? Jaden, let's start with you.
To be honest, I think he's mentally in a better place than what he was last time. I don't think that the Roedie Roets we saw at the last event was the Roedie Roets that can actually get in there and get the job done fast. I mean, a lot of people are saying, yeah, but he just sits around and hugs people. I mean, that is absolutely not the truth. He's a wrestler. He also does stand and bang oftentimes. So I feel like this time around he'll get the job done and silence quite a few people if it goes that way.
How about you, Aki? How are you feeling about Roedie?
Bro, yeah. To be honest, man, I'd like to disagree, man, because Roedie had the opportunity of a lifetime to be fighting in front of Dana White, and he hugged his way to a victory. And he did the same thing when he came to EFC. So I was like, bro, like, yes, I know you're not comfortable with your performance, but like, this is the fight, your next fight after the Ultimate Fighter. And what do you mean you're gonna hug your way into a championship? So I was like, bro, you need to like stand and bang, like get the crowd to be on your
Show us what you
side.
learned.
Yes, show us what you learned, because he had world champions coaching him. So I'm like, bro, like, come on, like, at least make them call you back for, I don't know, maybe a contender series or something. But he didn't do that, and I saw even Graham was upset. you know, even Graham was upset with his performance.
Look, it was one of those performances that none of us expected. Like you said, having come just from the Ultimate Fighter. However, he did explain he had two bereavements in his camp. There's a lot of personal issues in that camp, and he was also disappointed with his performance. However, I think if he's going to try and hug Ken, well, we're going to talk about Ken, but however, I think mentally he might be ready for this one. But let's see how he does. Coming to Ken, let's talk about Ken Sekeletu. Now, I went out to Team CIT. I had a chat with Ken Sekeletu. He's feeling determined. He's in the same space of the champion that just defeated Roedie's teammate. He's training with Martin van Staden.
Yeah.
How are you guys feeling about Ken Sekeletu coming into this fight, the progress he's made over the past year? Jaden, let's start with you.
Well, when he fought Vince Bembe and he finished him like that, I saw a whole new Ken Sekeletu. I mean, he's always been exceptionally good and he's always been a good young up and comer. But to see and take out somebody that's been taking out contests in 3 different weight categories kind of does give you like a hint to what he's capable of, what his skill level is at, where his mindset is at as well. So I have a funny feeling about this fight where I can't quite put my finger on it, but I do feel like Ken Sekeletu might be one of the toughest opponents that Roedie Roets has had to face in a very long time.
100%. One of the toughest opponents, one of the toughest guys, because we know he trains with Humphrey Mulenga. They used to train out of Lemu Gym in Zambia. They learned MMA from watching it on TV before they actually got into a gym in South Africa. So, Aki, how are you feeling about this transition, as Jaden mentioned, this transition he's had from the fighter we saw him as in the beginning to the fighter that he is now fighting for the title? Interim, but still for the title.
I think Ken is gonna knock Roedie out. Like, it's just plain and simple. I think Ken is like a world class striker, and him being at CIT now, he has Humphrey, like the streaker, like they have all these high level, like, yes, Roedie has fought in the US, but like Humphrey's training with so many other elite level fighters that no, Ken, sorry. Ken is like training with Humphrey and them, and I know like he has hands. So and Roedie is is just a punching bag. He takes them. Yes, he can bear pain, but like I think this is the time where he goes to sleep, and Ken continues to be 7-0.
That's a nice bold prediction. Very bold prediction. It's going to be a hell of a fight. We'll see what the odds say about this fight. We'll see how close it is or whether it's going to be as convincing a win for Sekeletu as you guys have just described. From my side, I think, look, the work he's done is phenomenal. Chill, dude. Let's see how it goes. The next fight is Ayanda, the Zwane versus Billy the Kid Oosthuizen. Now, we can't see it in this picture, but to anyone who is watching, Billy the Kid right now looks exactly like Merab Baishvili, even with a tattoo on his chest. So let's see if he can get the cardio gas tank to where Merab's is. But, Afi, Zwane versus Oosthuizen. They were part of the Grand Prix that the
Yeah.
EFC had last year. How are you feeling about where they currently situated within the featherweight division in the EFC? And most importantly, how are we feeling about Ayanda Zwane being where he is based on how he fought last year against Roedie Roots?
Um. Yeah. I personally think Roedie deserved the win. Don't get me wrong, but like Ayanda just proved himself. He won. Because remember, I even talked smack about him, saying that like he's gonna go to sleep or he's gonna get choked out. But like he showed me he persevered, and if like it was like gonna be 6 rounds, he would have won the fight. He would have won the fight. But like, I think Ayanda's good with his hands. Ayanda's good with his hands. So I think Ayanda's gonna take it. But I'm a big Billy fan. I'm a big Billy fan, and I don't want to pick. Cause like I'm a Billy fan, but then Ayanda just has that heart. Cause we saw that with his fight with Rudy Roots, and yeah, like I just can't wait to see this one in person.
I think, Jaden, let's move on to Billy. Billy the Kid, 8-6, taking on Ayanda in this featherweight Grand Prix. He's looking at Rudy similar to Ayanda in this instance. What do you think his chances are? Do you think he's done enough on a 2-fight win streak right now, done enough to actually overcome what we saw from Ayanda last December? Because, like Aki just described, Ayanda showed levels, especially if you're fighting against someone who's just come from the Ultimate Fighter. So, how are you feeling about Billy and where he is in terms of this fight?
Well, for me, Billy's always been a good fighter, and coming back, he's a lot better of a fighter than what he was back in the day. I mean, even though he's older now and, his life's changed around and everything, despite all of those circumstances, he's come back a lot stronger. And I mean, coming on a 2-win fight streak is it's actually very impressive. And for featherweights that are coming and they are proving themselves, they're not playing around in the fights, they're getting the job done. I mean, I feel like he does deserve that more than somebody that wastes time for 3 rounds. And I feel like if he does manage to pick Ayanda apart like an onion layer by layer, um, yes, definitely he can get the job done.
So interestingly enough, as much as his record is 8-6, if you look at who he's lost to Cameron Simon, he's lost to Cesar Mnikati, experienced fighter, he's lost to Simbarasha Gonya last year in the featherweight Grand Prix. So it's like you're saying, and I think he said so in the press conference, he's coming out of his former part of his career where he was just a knockout artist to actually trying to make a run. So maybe that maturity will see him through Ayanda, but this is a very, very interesting fight and a great co-main in this whole featherweight division that the EFC is building, because now we've got very strong contenders, fighters with good records, fighters who can say we've just fought each other in the form of Roedie Roots and Ayanda Zwane and are able to give the fans a show. Now, talking about giving the fans a show, let's move on to the fights to watch. Which fights do you guys think people should be looking out for that might not necessarily show in the odds or might not necessarily catch your eye because the names might not be familiar. Now, let me come to you, Achi. This card isn't as stacked as we would think in terms of the prelims. The main card looks stacked, but which fights are you looking forward to?
You know, I think Lucky, he's from like I think Brave, right? He just
Yeah,
came out of
he
Brave.
just
He
fought
was
out in
fighting the
Brave.
same card as Humphrey. So I'm looking forward to seeing him and how he's like gotten that experience. But Bandu, man, Bandu, Team CIT, I'm Team CIT, so I'm looking forward to seeing him compete. And yeah, I think those are my two fights that I'm looking forward to, like the Lucky fight and the Bandu fight.
Jaden, how about you? Which fight has caught your eye? Which fighters are you looking forward to seeing square up?
Well, I am excited to see Yemba and Kati Kati. I feel like putting a new guy and an experienced guy together with both. I mean, one's got a very technical stand-up style, and the other one's got a more wild, unpredictable style. So to see those two clash, I feel like it's going to be something very entertaining, and we're either going to have, the more experienced fighter win, or we're going to have an underdog come out and give us an upset. And I am looking forward to watch Lucky and Musa. Haven't seen Musa fight in a while. I mean, he hasn't been active as much lately, so it's good to see him back. I know he switched gyms, so I'm excited to see what he's learned from all those experiences. And I mean, Lucky is always entertaining, and he's always bringing the fight no matter where. So yeah, those two are my picks.
Those are great picks. For me, I'm looking at someone who's a debutant just at EFC 120 who knocked out one of my favorite fighters in the form of Chris Savage Matakani. I'm talking about Jaden van der Merwe. Jaden van der Merwe, for those who don't know, is an absolutely skilled, violent young man who's just come into the pro MMA. He has an amateur career. He won his first fight by rear naked choke last December. Now, if you've never seen him fight, you definitely need to watch this fight because he is super entertaining and he's fighting against very experienced Mark Kamba, 2-5. But if you look at the names that Mark Kamba's fought, he's definitely got experience in the Hex. He's fought Shadrach and Sua, Daz Jacoby, Diego Bandu. So he's got quite a few names on his belt. So it's a very, very good test for his second fight in terms of Jaden van der Merwe. That for me is the main fight I'm looking forward to. But then, like you said as well, Diego Bandu going on against Muhammad Ba. Muhammad Ba's 2-0. Diego Bandu's 4-2. That's going to be violent. The EFC middleweight division is violent, if I can say anything about it. Those boys always swing. So yeah, lots of very interesting fights. Lucky versus Musa as well. Feral Spunky Godfrey in Kwanazi. He jumped the fence last time to go and fight someone in the crowd, a fan. So, I mean, it's always exciting to see him in the Hex, Absolutely love him. So, looking forward to all those fights there. Now, let's go a little bit deeper into the betting odds. Let's see how World Sport Betting has stacked these fighters up, and let's see what kind of parlays people can put together. Now, starting at the top, Roets versus Sekeletu. Now, we spoke about these two fighters. The odds say, and the odds kind of agree with you guys, with all of us, the odds say that Sekeletu is the favorite.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about the odds? Now, you said that this is how you also feel. Are you surprised that the odds capture the sentiment that you guys have? Jaden, let's come to you. Sorry, Jaden, starting with you. Are you surprised that
Um,
the odds reflect what you guys said?
Well, no, I mean, because I think everybody usually will bet on the underdog. It makes things more interesting. And I mean, we've seen it time and time again that that is a reasonable option to choose. And I think everybody is hoping for it to happen to have a takeover. I think that's,
Ooh, it's time for the takeover. Aki, how are
Yeah.
you feeling about that? Because Rudy's the champion, and when you're the underdog as a champion, it usually says a lot.
Yeah, yeah, because like I said, man, Rudy's a punching bag, and Ken is a KO specialist. He knocks people out. So I think the odds. I think I would have Rudy as I think 2.5 underdog, man, because he's he's gonna, yes, he's gonna like stand and he's gonna take the punches. You know, he's gonna want to hug once he feels Ken's power. But like I said, Ken Ken has like so much talent behind him. It's just, yeah, he's too strong, man. He's just too strong.
100%. Now, look, I agree with the odds. They should be that close because when you have a hugging specialist, unfortunately, at the end of the day, they have a very close chance of actually winning the fight,
Winning.
which we saw in December. So
Yeah.
I agree with these odds, but I agree that Ken Sekeletu is likely to take this fight. Let's see what happens. Now, the next fight is Zwane versus Oosthuizen. I didn't expect this, but Oosthuizen is the favorite in this fight, not Zwane, even though we saw the performance that Zwane just put in against Roets. Achi, your thoughts?
I would say that's World Sports Betting's loss because like I'm trying to make money off of that fight, so I'm definitely picking Zwane. So I'll take their money gladly. Thank you. Yeah, it's a weird dynamic because like Ayanda Zwane proved himself. You know, he proved himself to be like a person who has heart and who can go the distance and can pull something out of the fire. Yes, he didn't. He came out second best, but he's just that great. He is that great. So yeah, I think the odds are
Jaden,
fine,
how
but like yeah.
Jaden, how about you?
For me, I do see why the odds are a more secure option for anyone wanting to bet on this because, unfortunately, as much as everybody loves Ayanda, Billy Westhuizen is currently running on more wins and a lot more finishes. So I do feel like that is a very secure option to go for. But obviously, I train with Ayanda. Ayanda is one of my training partners. So, yeah, can I be a little bit biased and just hope for the best here?
Very interesting point, though, that you make about Billy being on a longer win streak than Ayanda. Very, very interesting point. Look, those odds, I think I'll go with Achi on this one. Those odds, let's take their money. I think Ayanda might just have enough, even though he is on a longer losing streak. So, yeah, I'm going with Ayanda Zwane in this one. Then the next fight we have is Hanru Botha. He is back in the hex. He is fighting Kaleka Block Kabanda. Odds are saying Botha, but not by much. How are you guys feeling about the odds split? Should it be close? Should it not be further? 7-5 versus 6-8. Achi, let's start with you.
Yeah. So I would say yeah, I don't know these guys. I don't know these guys. So I'm just gonna say it is what it is. I'll parlay. I'll just shoe in a lucky parlay and see where I land. But like, yeah, don't know these guys, so I'm not gonna embarrass myself.
Jaden, how about you? How are you feeling about how close these are?
They're both very skilled fighters. They've both been around for quite some time. But to come on to Kaleka Kabanda's performance against Iga Cabeza, that was definitely not the block that we know, unfortunately to say. It was a letdown and I was expecting more from somebody with that reputation. And Hanru Botha, I think he came back last year as well and he did really well. So I can see that the odds are, they are supposed to be close. They're both experienced. So I wouldn't really be able to say which is which and how they'd win or who would win because it's a very even matchup. So
Whew. Look, like you said, the odds show a very even matchup. But in this one, I'm going to go with Block. Why? Because he's been more active. Hanru just came back off like a 9-year hiatus from fighting. Yes, he did do well in his first fight. He is from Team CIT, but Block lost to Patrick Ocheme, Iga Cabeza. I mean, he's also lost to Conrad Siabi, Martin van Staden, Popanga Treso twice. So if you look at his record, all those losses, we can sort of see why. So I'm gonna go against the odds in this one. I'm gonna go with Kaleka block Kabanda. Then the next fight is Lucky Maketa versus Musa Setwape. The odds are saying Setwape has no chance at all. No chance at all. He's going to be wiped. Maketa is going to wipe the floor with him. How do you feel about this one, Jaden? It's a complete blowout as far as the odds go. Will it be closer?
To be honest, I haven't seen much of Musa lately, but I mean, he's gone toe to toe with people like Shannon much more than once, as we all know. So, to be honest with you, I feel like the odds are kind of ridiculous at this point. I feel like he does stand a much better chance since he has a lot more experience over Mageka. Mageka is still new. He's still getting into it. He hasn't been pro for, I think, more than 2 years, whereas, I mean, Sitwapa has how many more years on him already? Sitwapa is how much older than him already? So I don't know. It's a very even matchup, as I say, skill-wise, size-wise, especially height-wise. All of that is very similar. So to break it down, I want to say Lucky because I know his fuel tank might take him a little bit further, but I would not sleep on Musa's technique and skill.
Yeah, these are very interesting odds. Do not sleep on Musa's technique and skill. But I will go with Lucky Maketa in this one. I think he just has that international edge right now. Like you said, the age, the determination, all of that. So definitely with Lucky. The next fight, Diego Bandu versus Muhammad Ba. 2-0 versus 4-2. The odds are giving it to Bandu. How do you feel about this one, Jaden?
For me, I can see why Bandu is the favorite. I mean, he's number one from our country. He trains here with us. And then we have an outsider coming. I mean, it's very easy to look out upon an outsider. We do not want our guys to lose. We want Africa to be top. So I can see why the odds are like that. And coming from such a high level gem, Bandu, absolutely. And that crazy knockout the last time, I mean, it is a no-brainer. But we cannot also just throw away the idea of international talent coming in from Senegal completely and we end up with a brand new champion. I mean, we've seen that how many times with outsiders that come in, Juliet, Zakir, all these guys are coming in from different places, different nationalities and cultures, and they are showing us that our standards in certain of the weight divisions are falling behind. And from what I know, he's a K1 specialist, more of a stand-up guy.
Yeah.
Haven't seen anything of his ground, but I mean, stand up and stand up. We're going to have an entertaining fight either way.
Achi, do you feel that Bandu is that much better than his opponent who's debuting in the AFC?
UFC. So yeah, man. Come on, man. Bandu's training out of CIT. You know, like the best, probably the best gym currently in Africa. You know, one of the best gyms probably in the world. Because like, look what they've done so far. And you know, Coach Mornay has like this way of just pulling something out of his fighters that no other coach seem to can do. So I'm obviously looking for Bandu to continue his win streak and just blaze a trail for more CIT fighters going into the UFC. So Bandu over Bar any day. I'll take that. I'll take their money again.
Yes. On this one, all I can say is yes. Take their money because I don't see Bandu losing. If I look at Muhammad Ba, like you said, Jaden, he is more of a stand-up. K1, he's got a boxing background. The one fight he won was due to injury to his opponent. The second one, interesting enough, was by submission. So maybe he does have some ground game. He's got a rear naked choke in the third round. So maybe stylistically, him and Diego go to the ground, and we know Team CIT is good on the ground. So I think it's going to be an interesting fight. And like I said, these middleweight guys swing for the fences. It's so scary. Now, that's the main card. Those are the odds for the main card. If you want to make a good parlay, I would put in Kaleka block Kabanda. Musa is not worth the risk.
No,
I don't see
don't
Diego
you dare.
losing. And Ayanda Zwane. Those would, and then if you're feeling risky, take Roedie Roets on that, and you'll about triple your money. Unfortunately, World Sport Betting didn't give us any parlays this week. So World Sport Betting, please, 1, sponsor our show. 2, give us more parlays. Luke, Rickus, we want to see them. The people need to see them. So please. Moving on to the prelims, the prelim card, lots of other interesting fights on the prelim card. The first one we have there is Lihle Ngamatwini versus Shady Plakies. Almost forgot it there. Versus Shady Plakies. Very interesting match. Lihle Ngamatwini is the favorite in this fight. Not by much, but the favorite. How are you guys feeling with him up against Shady Plakies? Jaden, let's start with you.
I think Blakey's, because for me, even though he did have a loss recently, it was also against a better opponent. It was also a bit of a test. I mean, a test for most guys. I have to go with Blakey's. I mean, his skill is far more controlled and more technical, but also we've seen, I mean, Tough House to Mela Manyamala. He head kicked him out. So my bets are going to stay on Blakey's for this one.
Ooh, going with the dog. I like it. Okay. Achi, how about you?
Yeah, I would say also Blakey's, because Blakey's always comes out swinging. Because yes, I know he's fighting against the guy from from Shorty's camp, right? Yeah. So
Yeah,
but
exactly.
he last time he did good. I can give him that. But Blakey's just he's just a slugger. So I would say Blakey's too.
Whew. Look, he's beaten M16 Tebogo Ntene. He's beaten Ayanda Vilakazi. He fights he trains out with Shadrach. I'm going with Lihle. And this one, I'm going with the favorite. I think he's going to just have what it takes to beat Salahuddin. Pikes is great. Love Pandemonium, but I don't think they're going to be able to take this one. I think this one's definitely going to go to Ngamatwini. Next fight, we have, geez, can't see those two names. Nkati versus, why is it not on my list? No. Nikati versus, guys, please help me out here. I really can't see the second name.
I think Giata.
Diata. Thank you. I'm not sure why it's not on my list. How am I missing it from my list here? That's so weird. Okay. Well, Suise Nikati versus Diata. The odds are sitting at 1.85 to 1.95. They're very, very close. Quite frankly, the odd makers don't know who's going to win this one. Achi, who do you think is going to win this one?
CIT. That's it.
Nikati, period.
You know.
Jaden?
Also, Sizwe, I have to say I'm a little bit biased. I mean, Sizwe Nkati is active, he's experienced, and I think to this day, no one's knocked him out. So the odds for that is slim. I mean, he's fought my dad, he's beat my dad, he's lost to my dad, and he's always respectful. So I cannot help but have a soft spot for, a sportsman, and really hope for that win for him.
I think it's going to be a very interesting match. His opponent, Gasmir Diata, has a 3-2 record. He's 4 wins. It's on a 4-win streak. All of them finishes. So I think if Sizwe keeps on the ground, those odds that favor him, he can win the fight. But if he keeps it standing, I think this guy might just have what it takes to possibly not knock him out, but give him a real challenge. So good fight. I think the odds are right. If it's on the ground, Team CI, Team Nikati. If they keep it standing on this one, I'll go with Diata. Then the next fight that we have is Yemba versus Nikati. Sorry. Kati. What am I saying? The one and only Tapiwa. Mighty Warrior. How can I get that wrong? Kati. So we saw what happened to Kati last year. His losses, the KOs that he received. And the odds are reflecting this with a 1.7 to 2.15 in terms of him being the dog. Jaden, do you feel that he has not yet turned the corner in terms of his losing streak? Do you not think that he could come back in this fight against someone who's less experienced? How are you feeling about these odds?
Well, I do feel like in a certain way, you can see it as maybe Yemba is a stepping stone for Kati to get back up in the ranks, to make his way back again. But at the same time, I mean, I have seen Yemba fight from GFC all the way into the EFC, from amateurs to professionals, and the massive switch that he's made within that time of just being a professional. He's put on so many good performances already. And I cannot help but think because he is more of a guy that doesn't fight straightforward, he's got a lot more head movement, a lot more footwork, he's quick on his feet, and he's got a decent gas tank. I feel like that is a bit of a challenge for Kati Kati, to be honest. And I haven't seen a lot of Kati Kati's international experience come through to prove himself in that sense for me to feel secure in betting on somebody like that on this card.
Now, having taken so many KOs, do you think he's ready? Talk to us, Achi.
Kati Kati, bro. Like Kati Kati is a dude you bet on to lose, bro. Like he's a parlay buster. He is a parlay buster. Cause like every time I would come in, maybe I would come in and he's fighting first. Then like the match is over and I'm like, what did he do? And they like nothing, you know. So Kati Kati, I do not trust that man with my money any day. He's I don't know. Maybe the knockouts have been too much. See, maybe he has too much CTE or something. Obviously, you EFC won't let him fight if he's suffering from that. But like, yeah, man, he's just a punching bag. He's turning into a coxswain, man. He's turning to a coxswain, and I don't know. Yeah,
A bit of a journeyman. Look, it is tough. But we've spoken to him, and he's like, "Listen, when I started my career, I was on a 4-0, 5-0 win streak. I couldn't be touched. Then he went overseas once, and somehow it's been downhill from there. I think he does have the chance to turn it around. I'm looking at Shadrach Juyemba. His experience isn't that extensive, and maybe that's why they're saying, "Okay, listen, Tapiwa, you've got the experience. Here's a 2-0. He's beaten Nkosi Doisa, who's got a terrible record, and Lucky Bosco. Come in. If you can beat him, then I mean, let's keep going. If you can't, well, definitely 100%. You might just be PD Coxon, Thunder Coxon. Shout out to the legend PD Coxon, by the way. I absolutely love PD. PD is a great guy, but the
big
record,
respect.
he loves
Big
to
respect.
fight. Yeah, big respect, but he loves to fight. That's what he does. So when it comes to the odds, I think on this one, I will have to go with the underdog. This one, I'm going with the dog. I'm going with Tapiwa Katikati. I think in this one, he might just have turned the corner, and he's turning the corner possibly because the opponent in front of him is not as experienced as he is. If you look at some of his recent losses, he was still going up against experienced guys who could and did still beat him as much as he was also an experienced fighter. So I think giving him someone who's fresh, I'm definitely going with underdog in this one. I think if you put him in your parlay, you can make some money on this one. Now, then the next fight we have is the man we just talked about, Nkosi Doisa versus Jesse Schaefer. How are you guys feeling about these odds? It's got Schaefer at 1.65 and Doisa at double your money. How do you feel about it, Jaden?
I like Nkosi. I do enjoy his fight style. I like the way he brings a certain attitude, if I can put it that way, in a fight. And JC Shaper, he's one of those guys that for me is a little bit too quick to quit. When things aren't going his way in a fight, he immediately cowers away. But when things are going his way, he's putting the pressure forward and he's scoring all the right points. So I haven't seen enough of Jesse Shaper getting out of that go back mindset to say that I'm confident in him on this fight. I do feel Nkosi has definitely proven himself a lot more. So I'm going to go with Nkosi on this one.
Ooh. Achi, let's hear you because I have an opinion on that one. Achi, what's your opinion there?
I would say Schaefer. Schaefer, man, because he's yeah he that, yeah because yeah, I would say Nkosi. Sorry, not Nkosi, Schaefer. Yeah.
Jesse Schaefer. Okay, yeah, those this is a tough one. The thing is, He's 0-4. Nkosi Doisa's 0-4. That's a tough record. Schaefer is 1-2. Lost to Alistair Kunene and Lucky Maheka, as we talked about. And Doisa's lost to Patrick Ochieme, Humphrey Mulenga, Francis Martin, Ken Sekeletu, and Shadrach Ju Yemba. So, I'm going to go with Schaefer in this one. I'm going to stick with the positive odds, not the underdog on this one. Going to be an interesting fight. Then the one I was waiting for, Jaden Van der Merwe versus Mark Kamba. Jaden, how are you feeling about this one?
I like what I
And how the
saw
odds
from
are.
Jaden Smith. And I mean, he's got my name, so
Yeah.
Team Jaden all the way. But I mean, Mark's done some pretty impressive stuff, but he's also fallen behind on a lot of necessary skills. And Jaden Smith has a lot of strength, and I can see that his punches and every single movement he makes, it makes solid contact, which is something that makes a lot of people stumble. If you don't have the right conditioning or the right amount of strength to stay in the middle with a guy like that, it's over very soon. So I'm going to go with Jaden Smith on this one. I'm excited to see what more he can do for us the second time in the cage here.
Afi, 1-0 versus 2-5. How are you feeling about this fight?
I would say coming off like that stoppage, Van der Merwe is looking like he's gonna be a problem. He's gonna be a problem. So I would say him. I would say him. Yes.
Yeah, I think the odds here reflect how the fight is likely to go. Honestly, they probably should be a bit more skewed in Van der Merwe's favor. So definitely Van der Merwe if you are putting together a parlay. Then the next fight we have is Nicholas Vermark versus M. Mbazani Jr. Honestly, I don't know Mbazani Jr. He's 0-0. He's a debutant in the EFC. Vermark is 1-1 in the EFC. So he's got a little bit of experience. The odds show him as the slight favorite. How are you guys feeling about these odds and this fight? Jaden,
I think Nicholas Vermaak was exceptionally good as an amateur. I was with him in the SA team, and I've sparred against him, all of that. He was a seriously good amateur. But I think he got too much of a fright coming into the professional circuit. It was completely different. It was new people. It wasn't the same people because, I mean, a lot of the times when you're caught up in the IMAFs, you fight the same people over and over every year. And it's this one takes it this time, the other one takes it that time. And for me, Nicholas Vermaak was the top guy, so he would take it every single time. And then he came and he had to fight completely new guys. He had to fight guys he's never fought before. It was too much of a challenge for him. So I know that he has a win. His first win was spectacular. But then the second one, a slightly more challenging opponent, was too much for him to handle. So, and I know Junior's only coming out now on this card. This is the first time he's fighting for EFC, but also his amateur record and the way he fought as an amateur gives me a lot of confidence in Junior to actually take this fight and make it, I don't want to say a manhandling, but in lack of a better word.
That's fun. Afi, how are you feeling about these two fights? This fight, because these odds are very close.
Like usually, EFC has a thing of having debutants who lose, like most of the time, you know. So I'm thinking Vermaak is gonna get back to the winning column, and yeah, because I would say him, yeah.
I'm with you. I'm going to go stick with the odds in Vermark. I think in Bazani's record, he's won one fight in his amateurs recently, but then he lost his first two fights. So I'm going with Vermark as well. I think the odds there are fair enough. So yeah. Then the next fight, the last two fights we have on this card. Oh gosh, now I can't see again. It is Godfrey Feral Spunky, the cage jumper, the wildest man in the EFC since Van Damme Mbui versus, oh gosh, that's gone again. Ash Zola. There we go. Versus Ash Zola. Now, this is a fight that's right at the beginning of the card. Feral Spunky was moving up until he had the loss against your boy Ntando Zondi. Now, he's 1-2. He's coming up against a debutant, another debutant on this card. And I'm not sure if there's a fact check, I'm not sure if I'm right, but on the last 3 cards, the debutants were the actual ones winning. For example, Jaden van der Merwe. Like, debutants in the last 2 or 3 cards of the EFC have really been stepping up. And I think it's a sign for what's coming from the amateurs now, is that these guys are just coming out really, really skilled. But Ashola is an amateur fighter. His first fight in the EFC. How are you feeling about this fight? How are you feeling about the odds and the fact that as a debutant, he's the favorite? Jaden is
He's the favorite. Okay.
He's the favorite.
I think the odds makers might be trying to like set up Godfrey, but he's my guy. We talk, we chat, me and him. But like, so I'm gonna stick with him because like he's a wild one. He's a wild one, the case jumper, like you said. So I'm gonna stick with him. Yeah.
Jaden.
I can see why Ash is definitely on the top because he did recently win the contender series and he won his pro card. So he had to work exceptionally hard to be on this card. I personally feel like that already is enough to give people a bit more trust in him and like that excitement of, oh my goodness, it's this guy, he's won his pro card, he's the next best thing. And he's one of the first guys, to do it. I mean, the contender series is so new. Everybody's watched it. There's a hype behind it. And now there's a hype behind him. So I can 100% agree with the betting odds. Godfrey, also, I did fight with him in the essays. He was also very good. Bunch of the guys were in a group and they would also always go back and forth, same way I said about the IMAFs. When Godfrey came into the EFC, I was looking forward to it, but he lost a lot of his simplicity coming into it. He got a little bit too cocky, in my opinion, and a little bit too quick. When you come to the stage where you're Ayanda Zwane and Roets and Ken Sekeletu or Drickus du Plessis, you can have a little bit more smack talk because you've backed it up. But I think he's going to jump the cage and not the ranks.
Jump the cage and not the ranks. Look, I'm a big fan of Feral Spunky because of the craziness, the cage jumping, all the smack talk. I love it. Although all the things you said about Ash are very interesting, I think Feral Spunky might just take this one. He might get back to the simplicity, still the craziness. And if you look at how he fights, his boxing prowess, his capability of stuffing the takedowns, I'm going to go with Feral Spunky. He is the dog in this one. So if you are looking to up yourself on a parlay, he is a fighter I would take as an underdog to up your money. Then the last fight of the night, 2 fighters that I've never really heard about. They are both pretty much debutants in this instance, although Matlabwane has had a fight that he has lost in the EFC. Mfanafuti Ngobese is coming out of Versus. His first professional fight is now in the EFC. The odds are showing it that he is going to demolish. So he's going to be basically a debutant that's going to win. He's going to demolish Matlabwane, in this fight, looking at almost double there. Achi, how are you feeling about the odds here and the fact that, once again, the debutant is not only the favorite, but by such a wide split?
Such a wide margin. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him, Govese, like make his debut because seems like the odds makers are very confident in him, and yeah, let's see what he brings to the table, and yeah, maybe I'll be a fan of him too.
Yeah, let's see what happens. Jaden, how about you?
I'm going to go with Matlabwane, to be honest. Ngobese, for me, on his debut, did not do enough to make a mark, to be memorable. His loss was nothing like one of those guys like that Tyrell Lowe that even though he loses often, it's like you're always ready for this underdog because he's tough and he's entertaining and he does not quit until he's physically injured. It wasn't one of those fights where you can feel like, oh, this guy's going to be something, or if not the next champion, at least, one of the guys that's a good marker to test other guys' skills before they reach the top. But for me, he did not do enough. So Matlabwane, coming out of Versus, as you said, I do feel like there's a high standard held there. Absolutely, I'm gonna go with Matlabwane.
Matlabwane. Now, I'm kind of stuck, but I'm gonna go with Mfanafuti Ngobese on this one. because if I look at Mahlabwane's record, he hasn't won a fight. Unfortunately, amateurs he didn't win, professional he didn't win. So it is what it is. But I'm going with Mfanafuti. I think he might just have the edge. Also because, like I said, the debutants seem to have an edge over the past few cards in the EFC. I'm not sure how they're selecting them, but clearly they're coming from good stock. So good picking by the matchmakers. But I'm going Mfanafuti in this one. I can't ask people to risk their money on Mahlabwane. But with that said, guys, thank you so much. That is literally the prediction show. To everyone listening, we have had an amazing show. Now, to cap this off, we need to look at which fighters that we are all looking forward to. Very specifically, let's start with you, Aki. Which fighter on this card is going to give you goosebumps when his intro music plays and you're going to be like, yes, let's go?
I would say the Takeover, Ken. I'm looking forward to seeing him. He's just like a streaking star, He's just like he has that personality. He has that wow factor. He has that marketability. So him, I'm looking forward to seeing him fight. And Bandu man, Team CIT all the way.
Jaden, your fighters.
Well, I just know when I hear the song, only I can stop the rain. Zwane and Kati is walking out, and it's chills everywhere. So I cannot wait to watch him fight every single time. I feel like I'm watching him for the first time again. So definitely.
Shout out to Leroy in the chats. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the watch. Keep watching, keep liking, keep subscribing. Much appreciated. Now, I think it's definitely for me, Ahi, like you said, Ken Sekeletu. I think the energy he's going to be bringing in this fight, his first title fight, he saw what happened to his teammate Humphrey Mulenga in the fight against Ike Besa. He's here to get a title for Zambia. He's focused. The time I went to CIT to go have an interview with him, they trained an extra 30 minutes past when everyone else had left. They were just pushing. Him and Humphrey were just pushing. So the determination is there. The focus is there. So for me, it is Ken, the Takeover, Sekeletu that I'm looking forward to as my fighter of the week at EFC 121. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the session. To everyone listening, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, kick him in the head at Head Kick Pod on all platforms. Aki, tell us more. Where can people find you? Where can people find you on the socials?
Yeah, man. So, I didn't flip it. So it's Elite Slap Sports. You know me, always dishing out slaps, man. Like the premium South African slap fight channel in Africa, actually. So if you want to come watch the fights, man, you can hit me up on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. I think I'm heading towards 1 million likes. So yeah. So yeah, man. So like Elite Slap Sports everywhere.
Jaden, where can people find you on the socials?
You guys can find me on Instagram under Jack_HAMMA_podcast. I'm the first female mixed martial artist and podcaster in South Africa to have done what I'm doing. It's a little bit scary, but here we go. I've been doing it since I was 17. So the progress has been slow but earned. And yeah, you guys are welcome to follow me and stay tuned for a lot of kicking comedy coming up again. No, don't worry, y'all. It's not kick him in the head. It's kicking comedy and a whole bunch of new exciting ideas coming to you guys this week. Can't wait to see you guys EFC 121.
Guys, definitely follow these two. They are absolutely amazing. Jaden's work at the events is crazy. She talks to these fighters and gets all this interesting information from them. Guys, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on on Thursday at this fight card. It's going to be great. To everyone listening, once again, like, comment, subscribe at Head Kick Pod on all platforms. Until next time, salute. And don't forget to
kick him in the head.
Jaden.
Kick him in the head.
There it is.